Hi. Hello, Teni speaking. Today we're going to be talking about purpose. Now, for me, whenever I heard the word purpose, I would tune out because it was scary for me because I was like, okay, what if I don't like my purpose? What if it's like hard or stressful? What if I don't find the one thing, the literal one thing that God has planned for me to do? What then? That being said, here I am making a video about purpose. So like, what changed? Why? Like, how did I get from being literally terrified of the word to like lighting up whenever anyone mentions it? In summary, I stopped thinking of my purpose as something I had to do and started thinking about it as something I got to do. So I know we're probably all familiar with Psalm 139, I'll put it here if you're not. And it talks about how God knit you in the womb, how, he formed you really intentionally and how he like set out the path for your life. But allow me to point you to Jeremiah 1:4-5, and I'll just read it out. It says, the word of the Lord came to me, saying, before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Let me take that again. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Now, that absolutely blew my mind. I don't think you guys understand the math. Before I formed you, before we were made, he knew us. And I told my mom and I was like, wow. She was like, yeah, he had you in mind. And I was like, whoa, like, before he formed you, he had you in mind. He was thinking about you even before he made you. And that was just crazy to me. And then it goes on to say, before you were born, I set you apart. And that is amazing. Obviously, God is talking about Jeremiah there. But like, we can obviously see Psalm 139, like he created each of us so intentionally. And then just that idea that we were made for more, that is just to me so beautiful. And so fear number one was that I wouldn't like whatever God had made me to do. But we're talking about God that knew me before he made me. Like, how could my purpose not be so perfect for me? Like, I cannot imagine my purpose not perfectly fitting me. Do you understand? Because God had it in mind when he made me. He molded me for this purpose. There's no way that it's not there's no way I won't love it, that I just don't think it's possible. And now I'm sure there are some of you that are still terrified because honestly, like I said, I was like, purpose, no thank you. I used to think, okay, because I just turned 17 recently, I was like, I'm just 16, like having a purpose seems like so much like pressure, I really just don't need that stress right now. But the problem for me was that I was thinking of my purpose as something I had to do as opposed to who I am. Like, there obviously still going to be steps you need to take to get there, but your purpose is like ingrained in your being. It is who you are. It's not just like, I don't know, you tick a box one thing and you're done, you know what I mean? So I think that actually took a lot of pressure off. And I was also afraid, I'll be honest with you guys, that having a purpose would take away my youth. Because I was like, I'm just 17, like, this seemed like such a far away grown up thing. I was afraid it would take away my youth. But one thing I've grown to realize is that it's not. It was my fears, my insecurities, my doubts. That was what was taking away my youth. Like, this life of being afraid to post on Instagram, of, whether you have a good or bad day depending on how you look, of caring so much about what other people think of you. I just don't think that's the life I want to live. And honestly, as I was planning this video, I was like, hey Teni, maybe you should cut them some slack. That's just the way things. I mean, when I say cut them, I was thinking myself as well, like cut everyone some slack. That's just the way things are, and that may be the way things are, but that isn't the way they have to be. And personally, that is just not the life I want to live. Like, I'm actually, it gets tiring, guys. I'm sure you're tired as well. Is it not? Aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? And how old are you? You have so much more to live. Like, can't be tired now. And I'll be brutally honest with you guys, I thought, okay, when I get older, like when I'm in uni, when I'm an adult and I figure everything out, like I won't be struggling with these things. But these like chains of fear and insecurity, they're not just going to magically fall off one day. And I personally do not want to live another day like struggling with these same things, Like, yes, I'm just 17, but that doesn't mean I have to live a life of insecurity and fear. They say this thing that like, enjoy your youth and everything. This caring so much about what I post, caring so much about what I look like, to me that is not enjoying my youth. And I don't know about you guys, but I just don't want to do it anymore. And we all know 1 Timothy 4:12, even if you don't know, you know you. It's like, don't let others look down on you because you're young. And I think that includes us as well. Don't look down on yourself. Don't count yourself out just because you're young. And again, for me, it wasn't even a thing of counting myself out. It was a thing of like, I don't know, I felt like there was a pressure involved in finding the purpose. And again, like I said, I'm discovering more and more that is just not true. Like, the pressure is probably something we put on ourselves more so than the pressure that God puts on us to discover our purpose. And I mean, honestly, if you think about it, earlier you start, the more time you have to like discover your purpose. But it's more than that. For me, it's the more time you have like it's just a greater portion of your life is going to be spent with like confidence and security, and you just like knowing who you are and like being able to like be confident in that. That's how I look at it now. So yeah, just going off of that, I haven't found my purpose yet, but I think even in the search alone, I found a security, a peace, a confidence. Obviously, as I'm saying all this, I still like have moments I struggle, I still have like bad days, but there's just like a security and a confidence that just comes with the search alone. And I don't know, I just feel like more people need to experience that. Like searching for my purpose has allowed me to see the beauty in every day. It's just allowed me to really experience life, I think, in the kind of the way God intended, you know. Now fear number 3 was of hardship, you know, of it being stressful and it being hard, and that is still kind of fear, but I think I've realized that everything is hard in its own way, but going against God's plan for your life is harder. So now Proverbs 16:9 says, in their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps. And I think the saying that when men make plans, God laughs is a bit harsh, but it's just the reality that you can plan anything you want, but ultimately God's will be done. So it's kind of like, are you going to go along with that plan, like that path God has set for you, like where he has made the way straight, or are you going to like really go on this rocky terrain and make things harder for yourself? And just that's not saying that even in that path God has set for you there won't be hardships, but you can rest assured, like knowing that you know the end before the beginning, because God has already told you that everything is going to work out fine. Like he planned this plan for you, and we know that his plans for us are of good and not for evil. So there's like that, again, confidence and security, like knowing where you're going to end up. So for example, Matthew 6 talks about, you know, worrying, and I've been inside those verses talking about why you shouldn't worry. And Stephen Furtick gave a sermon talking about if someone is worrying, you obviously don't tell them don't worry. Like that's not really what you want to hear, unless you know something that they don't. And for Jesus to tell us not to worry, he knows the outcome, like he knows where we're ending up, so he knows that there's no need for us to worry now. You know, see, makes sense, right? Now fear number 4 was the biggest for me. It's still scary, but it was like, what if I don't find my purpose? Like, what if I don't find, I think I said it exactly the same way, what if I don't find this one thing? It's not really one thing, but like, what if I don't find this thing that God created me for? Like, what then, you know? And that, I think, was the biggest thing stopping me from actually searching for my purpose. Like when they say purpose, I'll just be like, you know, if you don't search, you can't find, like, it's okay, you know. And because in church they used to tell us, you know, think of your gifts, like think of your passions and everything. And I'd be like, yeah, I mean, I guess I can write. I'll be like, I like art, so I don't know if I want to do for the rest of my life and everything. But how do I say this? It's just, don't let that stop you from searching. Like, leave it to God for how he's going to use that gift. You just focus on opening your mind and your heart to him. Someone described it as being an empty vessel, and I love that. Like, so just, you know, just be there for God to use. Let him fill you up in the way that he wants to. Don't worry about if your gifts are like, I don't know if they're worth anything, or don't worry if you feel like you don't even have any gifts. Like, just don't worry about that. You just open your heart and your mind for God to use you. And again, with this thing of like not finding your purpose, I was talking to my aunt recently, and she was just talking about how, you know, she used to feel like there was like one path, you know, this is the one way you go, as you just deviate, that's it. But she realized that God is so big and he's so good, and there's so many different ways that he could lead you to that same one purpose that he has for you. And I think the key thing is, if your heart's in the right place and you really just keep searching and you really just keep trying to do his will, trying to listen, trying to follow the path he's directed for you, I think he will like help you, you know, get there. And now I'm making this video because I think that choosing to search for my purpose is probably like the best decision I've made this year. And it's just, for me, knowing where I came from the part where like literally the word purpose was like scary to me, and kind of like experiencing this joy that is in searching for your purpose. The idea that so many people are still where I was, in like that you're either terrified of looking for your purpose, you're worried about it, or you just really don't care, like you're not really interested. That is really like disheartening to me, because again, like I'm just seeing how God can work through you doing something as simple as opening yourself up. It's not, do you understand? It's not even like finding the purpose of, we're just saying like, okay, God, can you just help me out? Can you just show me what you want me to do? It's such a simple thing, and I'm seeing God's hand so powerfully in it, and I just want every single person to experience it. You guys can see how much I just think everybody needs to experience it. And now, if you've watched up to this point, thank you again for listening to me rant about this. But it's not just to watch and click off and move on with your day. So as always, I have some practical tips for you guys, because I think that there's a lot of advice in the world, But the best advice I can give you is take the advice that you think is good. It's going in one ear and coming out the other. Like, who is that benefiting? So actually try and put into practice the advice that you think is good. And sometimes you find out that it's not good advice, but at least you tried. Now, number one, talk to God. It can literally just be asking him, God, what is your plan for me in this life, in this season, today? You know, just ask him and talk to him, because it's a relationship. Like, he's your heavenly father. The same way you would have a relationship with the person, how you have a relationship with God. And the more time you spend, genuinely, I've experienced it, the more time you spend in his presence, the more time you spend seeking him, he will reward you with, you know, revealing himself to you. A second thing is do more of the things you love. And don't worry about if they're spiritual or not. Like, don't worry if you're the best at it. Just do more things you love and, like, let God take care of the rest. So, for example, one way I can think of this is like YouTube. I didn't think this was going to be a Christian channel, but God has used it in the way he wanted to. And another thing is, like, for example, with my art, I'm trying to, like, keep doing it, even though I haven't really seen how God is going to use it specifically yet. But it's a talent that he gave me, and I want to cultivate it. So whatever that is for you, and if you don't know it, I think the advice of trying lots of different things is probably the best one, because just try lots of different things, and even if you're not good at them, you might actually enjoy them, and then you can do them more. At least you're happier, if nothing else. Number 3 is a good one. Get into a community. And I know that this can be a difficult one, because if you had told me this like a few months ago, I'd have been like, okay, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to just like go through, like, where do you even want me to start? So one thing I'll say is that you can start with me. If you want to talk, if you don't have any Christian friends and you need one, I'd be happy to be your Christian friend. But then there are other communities that I would recommend. For one, the Youth Nation. They had an event yesterday, and oh my gosh, guys, I sleep early, but that was so worth staying up for. I think there's going to still be a recording, so if you missed it, you definitely should watch it. But I think that's a good one to get connected with. Then, if you're familiar with Live Church, they have Switch, which is the youth one, and I'm part of a Switch online small group, and I really like it. And I think that it has been really beneficial to me, just having those weekly meetings and just connecting with, you know, other people who have a passion for God and who want to know him more. So those 2 things I recommend. Obviously, I think there are lots of communities, and again, with the whole pandemic, a lot more things are online, and so I think you have a lot more options than you would have maybe, you know, before last year. And then the truth of the matter is, a lot of times you're going to need to be the one to reach out. I'm saying this like maybe I was the one to reach out, but I think that's the truth. And I think it is just an easy, quick, not always easy or quick, but you know what I mean, like, it's a proactive way to get connected. So if you have a few Christian friends, start a weekly Bible study. Talk to an older person about their walk with God. I just think, like, I'm not just going to go and start talking to, like, I don't know, my uncle or something. But yeah, just like, also, one thing I like to ask is, what is the best piece of advice you'll be given? Because also, when they're Christian, sometimes it connects to God. Because I think Christianity is going to permeate every part of your life. So that's just another one. So talk to older people, start a Bible study with your friends. Just like easy ways. Like, so you be the one to reach out and like facilitate that connection. And the truth is, I think it's always the Switch Youth pastors to say, but like, we weren't made to do life alone. And having a community actually makes things so much better. And like lots of verses in the Bible about how like a cord with 3 strings is not easily broken, you know, stuff like that. So iron sharpens iron. So just having a connection and having good having Christian people around you, I think is really helpful. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching up to this point. I'm still going to ramble on a bit more, but I had a lot of plans for what I wanted my second video to be. I had a lot of different topics, but ultimately God's will prevailed. And honestly, I was pretty nervous about posting again, because I was like, what if like no one cares? What if I say nonsense? What if people don't actually like, you know, watch till the end? What if it doesn't help anybody? What if I'm boring? But then God actually convicted me, and he was like, 1, am I doing this please God or please man? And number 2, I'm focusing so much on what I will say and if I will make sense, instead of focusing on letting the Spirit speak through me. And so those are the kind of 2 things. So I'm just telling you guys this for like transparency and like honesty's sake, just to like, this is actually what I went through while I was trying to make this video. So just kind of like give an example of like how, you know, God speaks. It's not always like I don't know, go out into the wilderness. Sometimes it's just like reminding you of a Bible verse or reminding you of something that you already know. Again, thank you. It's like my 3rd thank you, or like thank you counter or something. Thank you for watching. I really hope this was beneficial, and I really hope it motivated you to actually go out and search for your purpose. I don't know how I could have given purpose a stronger case. Like, as you can see, I'm really trying to advocate hard, guys, and I really don't want you to just be like, you watch this and like you move on, because I just genuinely think that searching for your purpose is probably one of the best things you can make. Again, I know it's daunting, I know it's scary, I know it's like, I'm just so young, but again, I think it will make your life better now, even as you are just searching, as opposed to like when you actually find it and you start doing and you start living for what God had called you to live for. I'm reading a book, I'll put it here. I'm literally on like, I've just finished chapter 1, so I can't really say you know, this book really helped me, but I've heard good things about it. So if you want to read it and we read it together, book club, woo. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. This is my fourth thank you. I love you guys, I'll see you next video. Bye.